they had that big Asia-Pacific trade talks. Donald Trump said he rated his mission 12 out of 10 with the number of signed deals he brought back. Carney, he got a 40-minute chat with Xi of China. Why don't we throw to a video of Prime Minister Mark Carney, and this is kind of making me feel ominous on this All Hallows Eve, that we're at a turning point in our relationship with China. Let's see Mr. Carney speak in his own words and try to make sense of it.
This meeting today is long overdue. It has been 8 years since a Canadian Prime Minister has met with the President of China. We now have a turning point in the relationship, a turning point that creates opportunities for Canadian families, for Canadian businesses, and Canadian workers. And also creates a path to address current issues. So very pleased with the outcome of the meeting. Our officials are instructed to work at pace on issues moving forward.
Franco, let's start with you. What opportunities? Carney couldn't even get China to drop those onerous tariffs on canola and canola oil. What is he talking about?
I'm going to throw a little curveball here, okay? Now, look, all I can think about right now are the Blue Jays. I know budget's next Tuesday. I know that's the Canadian Taxpayers Federation Super Bowl, but at this point, we got Game 6, hopefully not a Game 7 on Saturday. All I can think about is the Blue Jays. So let me give you an analogy. Okay, when you're in the batter's box, all you can control is getting on time and putting a good swing on the ball. You can't control, what the pitcher throws you. You can't control where the defense lines up. You can't even control whether or not you're going to hit the ball at someone, right? So you can only control what you can control. Look, all of these diplomatic issues, like if we're just being honest, they're very tricky to deal with, and you never know exactly what the other country is going to do, right? The problem, as I bring it back to that announcement or that press conference, is that we've got a lot of major issues here in Canada, right? You don't always know what the Chinese government's going to do. You don't always know what the White House is going to do. So you have to fix the mess here in Canada, right? We've heard a lot about the auto industry getting hammered by the tariffs from the US. Well, you know what else the auto industry is getting hammered by? The government's ban on the sale of new gas and diesel vehicles by 2035, right? That's going to decimate the auto industry, right? We've heard a lot about steel manufacturers getting hurt by the tariffs coming from the U.S. You know what else is going to decimate a lot of our big manufacturing? Carney's hidden carbon tax, Carney's industrial carbon tax, right? So one of the issues that I'm really having a problem with here, you mentioned the word bamboozle, is that you hear this narrative coming from the governing Liberals and in the legacy media talking about all these international issues, but that kind of puts a cloud over the real issues back home in Canada that the government is causing that is honestly strangling our economic opportunity.
Great points, Franco. And Rod, when I look at the words turning point, what gets my spidey senses tingling? We have so much merchandise from China. I mean, heck, if you go into a Dollarama, a Walmart, I would wager at least 60% of what's on those shelves are made in China. What we don't have in China and what China desperately wants to export is vehicles, especially EVs. There's supposedly millions sitting on lots that have been manufactured. And think of the dilemma we would be in if Carney bends the knee and allows Chinese EVs in. They'll be underpriced, dubious safety standards, I understand. But to Franco's point, the federal government and the province of Ontario has been investing tens of billions of dollars into EV and EV battery production. Would bringing Chinese EVs totally skewer those plans?
Well, yeah, it would bring the whole thing to a halt.
Yeah.
But this is consistent for their decision making, right? Along the last 10 years. And it's interesting to me that this reunion between Canada and China happening right now. You have the left, which is always They just can't seem to stop calling Donald Trump a fascist and talk about the ending of American democracy and fascism taking over the South. And yet when Carney talks about increasing this relationship with China, who's done all kinds of things to Canada, we're not going to get into that, but if you think about the things in the last 5-6 years that have happened, you'd be like, I'm not sure they are the best option for a relationship with us. And then the left, they don't say a word about that. There's a danger of collapsing our auto sector entirely. There's a danger of putting a stake in our relationship with the United States by bringing in Chinese EVs. And God knows what else. I mean, I'm on the West Coast along with Drea, and there are problems here when it comes to organized crime, both from cartels and from China. And the left has got nothing to say about that. They're completely fine with Chinese communism, but not the American fascism happening south of the border. So I don't know. Let me say this too. In situations like this that have happened in throughout history, it was the mainstream media's job to help people understand the issues and what's at stake, and maybe look at a different view of things, so that to help people think that don't have that knowledge to make those judgments for themselves or form a coherent opinion about these things. And that is absent, despite the fact that they're getting whatever, $500 million worth of funding over however many years. Franco would know that. But despite all that, no, the mainstream media is just happy to go along to get along. It's a very interesting situation happening in Canada right now.
100% was. My beloved boss man, Ezra Levin, says the media watchdogs are now the government lapdogs. That's their sugar daddy. Drea, last word will go to you on this. I thought Rod made some incredible points about the hypocrisy of the left. When we reach out to China, and I know Carney's predecessor, remember, he had admiration in his heart for the way China, the Chinese dictatorship gets things done, which is, I think, the most colossally immoral quote of the past 15 years. But I mean, we look at their human rights abuses. We look at the Uyghur genocide. We look at the fact that this is where COVID-19 started. It killed millions of people, cost the world economy untold trillions of dollars. And this is who Carney wants to get in bed with?
Well, let's not forget our threats to our security as well, and where those have been coming from our election. But yeah, my mind went to where Rod's did, and he said it very eloquently and perfectly. The contrast between how the people react, how the mainstream media covers this. We're always hearing about Trump and how he's going to take away reproductive rights and how you're not going to be able to, get transitioned as an adult or whatever. But here you have President Xi, and it's like, look at me, I got a meeting. And they didn't even push back. The mainstream media didn't even push back on Trudeau when he said he admired that dictatorship. The other place my mind quickly went to was the last time I could think of Trudeau and President Xi together. And it was when I put a little video of it if we want to show the B-roll. It was when he looked like he was almost getting scolded by him. So I guess when you've come from that as the former prime minister, I guess you can make yourself look a little better quite easier than that. So.
Yeah, and for all the sucking up, Xi called Trudeau, I think, at this event, the little potato, I think. Unbelievable.